Hello, everyone, and welcome to Subconscious Sundays. I am your co host, Reverend April Kling Meyer. This is my best friend, hypnotherapist Timothy Freeman. Hello, everybody, and welcome. So, we want to start this whole thing off just by setting some intention, letting you know what this is all about, what you're getting yourself into by being a viewer and watching this stream every Sunday. And I'll go ahead and hand it over to Tim to get that process started.
Sure. So welcome everybody. Good to have you. Good to be here with everybody. We just wanted to start off with a little intention setting. So first of all, this program, this gathering here is meant to be fun and entertaining. It's a laid back way for us to subconscious mind. April.
Yeah, and we want it to be open and inviting. We want to welcome you to bring your questions into the chat, to bring any ideas that you have respectfully into the conversation. We keep the chat open and we keep an eye on it the whole broadcast. So if you have a question or just want to add a little bit of flavor of your own to it, just do so respectfully and we welcome it.
And this is intended to serve as a weekly ritual for all of us to gather our shared community in a virtual sacred space to share our knowledge while helping, hopefully helping everybody with that knowledge.
Yeah, absolutely. And we have pretty much four essential core values that will uphold every time we do a show. And that is that we're going to be respectful of everyone's individual journey. We're going to be rooted in compassion for ourselves and others. And we want you to generate that compassion as well. And we want to promote growth and expansion for ourselves and others and create a supportive community through this continued weekly cadence of a ritual space, essentially.
Yeah, great. Thank you. And so we will start off with a little hypnotic meditation. So if whether anyone here, I'm a professional hypnotist. So if anybody here has experience, or even if you haven't, that I'd like to just mention here before we go into this hypnotic meditation. Hypnosis is a normal and natural process. We go into a light state of hypnosis every day, certainly right before we go to sleep. And so this is Subconscious Sundays. This is my way. This is my primary tool for accessing the subconscious hypnosis. April has many other amazing tools to help access the subconscious, but really different information hangs out brainwave states, just different beta brainwaves, daily problem solving, left brain, action oriented consciousness, we can sometimes miss some of the jewels that and insights and answers and wisdom that are in our subconscious minds. So normal and natural process. If in hypnosis you're always consciously aware, nobody can make you do anything you don't want to do in hypnosis. It's impossible. Because basically what we're doing is we're bypassing the left hemisphere. We're bypassing the critical factor, which is kind of the guard at the gates. If anything a hypnotist says to you doesn't pass that, it's not. And like everybody, spot on the find a spot on the in front of you that's just above your natural eye gaze. Your eyes are going to be looking slightly upward, and I'd like you to take in a deep breath. And as you exhale, look through that spot. You might start to notice the corners of the room and close your eyes and begin to relax. And now with your eyes closed, I'd like you to relax your jaw. Just let your jaw relax. Your jaw might hang open slightly. And as you continue relaxing, I want you to gradually slow down your rate of breathing. Get into a comfortable, slow rate of breathing with a long exhalation. Good. And now I'd like you to relax the back of your tongue. This disconnects in your brain your need to speak right now. Just let your tongue be relaxed and continue breathing in a slow, steady rate with a long exhalation. Good. And now, whatever it means to you, drop your consciousness into. And as you do, you might notice a sense of good. As you continue relaxing, I'd like you to bring your awareness to some time in your life when you felt really on track. You're checking things off the list, you're working towards something you enjoy. Just bring up a time in your life right now where you felt really on track and accomplished. Good. Now I want you to bring your awareness to the feeling that you have. You're checking things off the list. You're in the process of accomplishing something that feels exciting. Attention to that feeling inside your body. And if that feeling had a color, what would that color be? A feeling of being on track, feeling of accomplishment. And now I'd like you to bring your awareness to that color now. And you start to notice that there is a small box that is that color of feeling on track, feeling accomplished. Small box, it's that correlates to this feeling of being on track. And I'd like you now to open that box and find a key. There's a beautiful key in this box. And in your awareness, I'd like you to now notice a door right before you, a beautiful door. You have a key now to open this door. Now, behind this door is something that you want to start. It's something that you have wanted to accomplish, and it's something that you want to start. And this key that you have in your hand will open the door. Now, that on track and accomplished key, I want you to hold that for you. And as you're holding that key, something comes to mind that represents the next smallest step to accomplish that thing behind the door that you want to accomplish, that thing you want to start. It's the next smallest step. Nothing big, it's just the next smallest step towards that goal. Now, with that key, go ahead and unlock that door and open the door. Now, behind the door, you see yourself. A scene unfolds where you've started this thing that you starting. And notice what you're doing. Notice how you're feeling. You've started this thing that's exciting for you, that you've been wanting to start. And the key, the next smallest step to get there, will lead you through this door. And now you see yourself starting this thing. Notice what you're doing. And notice how you're feeling now. And I'd like you to let that feeling sink in even deeper. That feeling feels good. It's exciting to you. I'd like you to take your thumb and your forefinger and just rub them together gently as you're focusing on that feeling, that good feeling of taking action and starting something. And anytime you feel stuck from here, you can identify with this feeling by just rubbing your thumb and forefinger together. It will instantly bring up this feeling inside of you, this excitement, this good feeling of taking action towards something that's important to you. And in a moment, I'm going to have you shut the door behind you. Go ahead and shut the door now. You still have the key. That key is the next smallest action step. Take that key with you, and I'd like you to take a deep breath in and focus once again on that feeling of taking action. It feels good to be pursuing something that's exciting for you, brings joy to you. And take this key with you. It's the next smallest step to get there. And in a moment, I'm going to count to 5. And when I get to 5, you'll open your eyes and rejoin us. 1, feeling light and free and feeling confident that you know the next smallest step. Even if you've been stuck for years, now you know the next smallest step. 3, feeling really secure and almost excited about being able to accomplish the next smallest thing. 4, feeling great. And 5, open your eyes.
Thanks. What a wonderful
Hope
way to get
everybody's feeling
started.
great.
Yeah, everybody's going to be feeling great. And drop your comments in the chat on how that landed for you and how that felt. Maybe tell us what that key represents for you and what that door felt like, what it felt like to open that door. Really excellent meditation, Tim. And now I'd like to go into a bit of a sermon, if you will, because I am a reverend. And we're going to talk a little bit about what it means to overcome your inertia. And it's a big deal because we have a lot of obstacles in the world right now. And these obstacles can feel really overwhelming. They can feel really difficult to handle. And we disempower ourselves by believing that we have nothing we can do to change what is needing to happen in this world to survive the climate crisis, the political crises, the economic crises. And we know that we need to overcome our own personal inertia in order to start whatever it needs we need to get started, to make changes. And these may seem like tiny things to do as people, as individuals, but we have to practice these sorts of things on our own in order to do them collectively and to do them with other people. And we can start with breaking challenging habits. And we can also start by developing a practice, such as a creative practice. We could start a new one or revisit a beloved creative practice from our past. We can start or even deepen an existing spiritual practice with something new. And we can also take important steps towards our mental and physical health through um, experiences that are intrinsic to our physical being, and even like things like culinary limitations. Like I gave up sugar about, I guess it's been 6 months ago now, and it's been a tough journey. And I will admit to scarfing down at least 2 desserts in that time when I had special occasions to excuse myself. But, these things are things we want to try, things we want to experiment with. And in order to get into that experimentation phase of our own changes, we have to start. And we have a lot of obstacles in the way. Now, something Tim introduced me to, and that I also learned about in seminary class, was the idea of a pattern interrupt. And how I'd like to define that is we have patterns in our lives, basically the way that we live day to day, our habits, our daily routines. And then we have pattern interrupts. And those things can be
Our
um,
self-talk too, I should mention. That's a
oh,
pattern, or
that's
self-talk.
coming up. That's definitely
Yeah.
coming up. Yeah, thank you. So we have these patterns in our lives, and they're the rituals, the daily routines that we get ourselves in, it down to when we wake up and when we go to sleep at night. That could be yet another thing that you want to try, like getting up early in the morning, for instance. And in order for us to engage in something called a pattern interrupt and change that routine, that's going to happen with or without our own agency. Like, for instance, if you have a death in your life, the grief can really remove you from your own sleeping habits. Or if you have changed jobs and you have to be there earlier in the morning, or have a baby and then you don't get sleep throughout the night. These are things that kind of happen to us. And then there's pattern interrupts that are within our personal agency. That's going to be more the focus of what we're going to be talking about today. And in order to overcome our own inertia, we're going to have to encounter obstacles. And I want to invite you to think of obstacles as something kind of imaginary. And we really do have the power to create our own reality around these things. So the first major obstacle, and I think the most primary personal obstacle that we have to overcome, is our own core wounds. And there's a lot of different ways to define that, but the essential definition of a core wound is the lie that we tell ourselves to make sense of the ways that we've been hurt or the ways that our lives have gone in our origin stories. And it's important. I really want to draw a big underline of the word lie, because it's also referred to as the primal lie. And the core wound is going to have a very significant influence over the way that you go through your day-to-day life. And there's different ways that you can exercise, like ways to uncover what that core wound is. I'm not really going to get into that too much today. We might do so on a future episode. I know Tim would be way into that. But core wounds, there's a couple of different ways that I've encountered, and you can explore that after we finish this episode. And that is really going into deep envisioning in sacred space of the situation of your own birth, evaluating the nature of your parents' relationship when you came into the world, and evaluating how you felt as a baby, and even in the womb, before you were born. That can be really deep, really remarkable work that can take you really, really far out of your patterns. It can be a real pattern interrupt in and of itself. And it can be a little traumatic. So I don't recommend that exercise without careful sacred guidance. The other thing that I recommend doing is through journaling or meditation, just reflect, or even just conscious noticing on what you repeat to yourself when you enter a room, either of strangers or your family of origin. Because these are the things that are going to just keep coming up. And I'll just give you an example from my own personal life. My core wounding is around being unwanted. And when I go into a space, I would find that I would say, like, even if I was invited to something, I'd be like, well, they don't really want me here. And that goes into this origin story of like feeling like an unwanted pregnancy, an unwanted baby after they already had, I'm the youngest, after they already had 2 children, and just there being this scarcity of resources in the home. So I have this repetitive story of telling myself, like, oh, I'm not really wanted here. And it threw me into a pattern of just believing that to be so. And I put the work on everybody else in my life to prove to me that I was welcome and that I was wanted. And that's a lot more work than was really fair to do to other people, as Tim well knows. So, um, these core wounds have direct access to your triggers, and any excuse to remain in pattern in your life, any excuse to not overcome an obstacle, any excuse to remain doing what you're doing every day and day out and not getting started correlates to that core wound. It tends to, and trauma that happens to you in life is going to echo that core wound. It's memories of the trauma, memories of the trauma, not the trauma itself, but the memories of the trauma are going to conform to the shape of the core wound. And it's always going to serve as evidence that that core wound is true. And it keeps us in pattern. So our patterns are formed by our obstacles if we're not conscious of this. So any consciousness we maintain on this, if unchecked, is going to address the truth of the core wound. So we're going to be constantly searching for this evidence that the core wound is the primal lie is actually true, because the reverse of that might be too painful and too triggering to hold. So we tend to delegate it to the subconscious mind to keep us in pattern. So we don't have to think about the traumas. We don't have to think about that core wound. We just carve these pathways around our obstacles, go through them day in and day out, and outsource the subconscious mind to manage that whole process for us so that we don't have to think about it. Sounds great, but when you want to get something new started, when you want to try something new, it's a really difficult obstacle to overcome when you realize that you've gotten into this very distant, very relegated and delegated relationship with your subconscious, which isn't intimate at all. So what we're here to do, Tim and I, is we're here to help you develop an intimacy with the subconscious. We're going to witness the ways that we've delegated our patterning to it. We're going to get insight into the pathways that take us around the obstacles, and we're going to direct access to the ways that our core wounds shape our thinking. And we're going to remove some obstacles. We're going to remove them. And as we learned in Interfaith Seminary, there is a Hindu deity, and I'm just a pop quiz for you. We've got somebody here in chat. Let's see what they have to say about that. Oh, thanks, Bear. Powerful stuff. We agree. So what, Tim, is the deity in Hinduism that is the remover of obstacles? I know Bear knows the answer. She's still watching.
We're talking about Ganesha, right?
Absolutely. Ganesha. Ganesha is a deity that has the head of an elephant, known for its memory. It's who the Hindus pray to when they're studying for a test, taking tests in school, studying for an exam, goal setting. And Ganesha is also known as the dream maker, the dream weaver. So Bear, it's just put a little elephant there in the chat. She knew the answer. I knew she would. But the methods to do that are through channeled or automatic writing or channeled art, physical exercises such as that have like a spiritual element, like ecstatic dance or yoga, meditation, dream journaling, which is something I'll talk about in a future episode, and of course, hypnosis, which is something that my dear friend Tim knows an awful lot about.
Yeah, this is really interesting, April. The angle that you're going here with obstacles, because it's overcoming. We're talking about overcoming our own inertia, right? And these obstacles that are in the way. I like how you brought in, what some might feel as a spiritual component, because this is we have a lot of, if you believe that, we have a lot of assistance to accomplish things, to bring our gifts into this world. We have a lot of assistance that we can call upon. But I'm not quite sure if that's where you were going with this. I'm going to let you continue on that, though. I just thought that was really interesting on a subconscious level, if we're calling in that aid, that is something that can help too.
Yeah, we have two very complementary perspectives on the subconscious, which is why we're really doing this show. And we'll also find that we have a lot of overlapping feelings about the subconscious and bringing in this assistance from a spiritual perspective. And I know Tim agrees with me on this because we're buds and we talk about this all the time. But some of those assistance involve on a spiritual level our ancestors, people in our lives that have our loved ones that have passed on, or even just the concept of our higher power, no matter how you name it, be it God, be it the universe, be it the great creator. These are the different assistants that you can call into this process. The unseen deities and the unseen entities out there that are available to call into this. And then Tim and I both are real believers that the subconsciousness itself is like your own internal supercomputer that's really available to assist you with really anything you program it to assist you with.
Yeah, it really is. I've heard recently that neuroscientists believe that 95% of our decisions are made by the subconscious mind before they ever reach our conscious mind. And so, to piggyback on what you said earlier, or what our conscious mind does, is then it looks for evidence in the world to support that decision. That can be good or bad in the context of negative self-talk and kind of like the statements we say to ourselves when we come into a room, that type of thing that you're talking about. We look for evidence to support what is in our subconscious, right? So yeah, that's an interesting little intersection there, I think.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. And the work that you and I do in the world, our calling, our purpose, and the work that we do is to help you in bringing in that reprogramming, that self reprogramming, and being able to engage with those primal lies, core wounds, and try to find the truth around it. Try to engage those different parts of ourselves to put them in the right direction, to aim us towards purpose. And we have a lot of different ways to do that to help you professionally. And I want to turn it over to Tim really to say that both of us are available, and there's links in the description of the video to assist you with that. If you're looking to do this from more spiritual perspective, I'm an interfaith minister. I've been ordained by the One Spirit Interfaith Foundation in the UK, and I have a certification in spiritual counseling and guidance. I'd love to help you. So set up a free time to talk. Tim is also available to assist you with hypnosis. Tim, tell them about your offer.
Yeah, sure. So the link there is to schedule a consultation with me where we could just, if you are seeking some deeper change and want this kind of one-on-one work with accessing your subconscious, I'm happy to help there. And really, what I think April and I are both talking about is, we have our own answer. Our answers lie, the insights that we need to bring our gifts into the world lie within our own subconscious mind. So it's just a matter of accessing it.
Yeah, really, the work that we do, that we both do, is about bearing witness to that process for you and guiding you along. You have most of the answers within you, and we really just serve to help you find those. So don't hesitate to reach out to either one of us and use those booking links in the description. And so it's time to say goodbye. I want to thank my co host, Tim, for being a part of this lovely creation of community, co creation, really, of community gathering on a weekly basis. And thank all of you who've had a chance to join us either now live or in the replay on YouTube. And I'd like to close, if it's all right with you, with an interfaith prayer. Dear great and wonderful Creator, we thank you so much for giving us this opportunity to gather here in spirit and digitally. And we thank you so much for this wonderful friendship that Tim and I have shared across almost 40 years. That's really kind of naming our age a little bit. And we also want to thank our viewers and our greater community for taking part in supporting this work. And really, Creator, we ask that you look out for those who need that extra guidance and that extra help, and allow us, Tim and myself, to serve our purpose in assisting those who need it in making friends and building intimacy with the subconscious to overcome obstacles, achieve goals, and become the leaders of a world that really needs a higher integration in the way that we see the way that we're created, the way that we interact in the world, and the way that we see others, and develop that deep intrinsic self-love that keeps us grounded in who we are and what we're really here for. Thanks, everybody.
See you next Sunday.